that's a recommendation in the report that's outside our control. But my understanding is that the city does take that recommendation very seriously, and what they did was an interim process for this year. But with respect to the other recommendations, we're going to be working with the advisory committee and with tenants more broadly. We heard Kathy's comments about accessibility, making sure that our consultation is accessible to all our tenants, and you'll be getting regular reports back in terms of where we are.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. With the Vice President isn't here today to answer that. Are there other questions from board members or comments?
There certainly are. I'm wondering if Julio or Kathy, can you confirm, I know you recently surveyed the existing tenant reps to see how many of them were willing to stay on. What is that magic number?
I happen to have the magic number in front of me because in a timely manner it was provided. So 297 total active tenant reps, 18 or 6% do not wish to continue. And as I said, we'll be working to make sure that we've got alternate means to not let those buildings or those communities not be participating in the process.
So that's just the number of existing tenant reps. That does not include the vacancies, because at one point we had 466 tenant reps. They've been dropping like flies, so if you've still got 297 left, that's great. But I don't know if those are vacant positions or existing.
Yeah, come on, go ahead.
Yeah, somebody's giving us wrong information.
The 297,
Yes?
does not include the vacancies that were created for the
Can you
last
tell us
election.
the number of vacant tenant rep positions?
We have about, I don't have that from the top of my head, but
Okay,
it's
so the
about
last time
80.
Angela reported, it was about 151. But many have
81 now.
vacated since that last July.
Okay.
To that point, one of our goals is to make sure that we have an interim process for those buildings that are underrepresented right
Yeah.
now, to ensure that they also participate in the refresh process.
So I'll take that back again because clearly I didn't have full information here. What we'll do is when we next report, we'll make sure that we're very clear in terms of what we're doing on the interim regarding vacant positions or any buildings where individuals don't want to stay on and help us.
So, thank you, but suffice to say, if we did not continue on with a democratic system of representation, we'd be in violation of the shareholders' direction. So we must stay status quo until we have a new plan.
Right.
And aside that this conversation about a refreshment started in 2013, 2014, when tenant reps were elected in 2015, they were told then and there, a new refreshment engagement model is coming. It's 2018. We were told last year in July we would have a new model by the end of 2018. Sorry, at 2017, didn't happen. Here we are today looking at the same report we received in July 2017, and the fact of the matter is you haven't even met with the tenants on this committee to move it along. We know that, but at least there's a commitment and you've got a path forward now. The other thing I want to say, you know, when I first joined this organization on this board, I was blown away, absolutely blown away by the level of engagement, by the support, by the empowerment of our tenants, by the funding that was allocated. The possibilities were endless, our communities were thriving, and as such I nominated Toronto Community Housing for an ONPHA Social Housing Award for tenant engagement. Today, 10 years later, I would ask you to give it back. We have destroyed all that was good with tenant engagement. We clearly are starting from scratch. Please consider what the tenants have to say, what they see as success. I know we as an organization have to factor in the funding and how we'll bring it all about, but don't create a cookie cutter model that's one size fits all. Don't lump our tenants together in faith-based groups and call that success, because success is breaking down barriers and getting all tenants in the community together to work together. So look, I'm really sorry that the tenants have been through this experience. I too am a tenant rep. I've been going through this journey. The information is this inconsistent. I'd suggest if you don't have concrete information, leave it pending until you're certain, because we've been flip-flopping month to month with our tenant reps. You're here, you're gone, can you stay? Let's be consistent in our communications. It looks bad on you, and more importantly, this group of tenants that has dedicated the last year of their life to working with staff to bring this about, it's a reflection on them. They didn't deliver. But it's a team, and if staff don't deliver, then those tenants working with you don't deliver either. So let's look good together, let's deliver at this table. I'll be here when that happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Thank you, Catherine. I'm going to ask at this point that we just receive the report for information. We've got a lot of work to do, and you've given us our marching orders. I'll stand beside our CEO and support the direction of the tenants, and we will together. And you know, we know what we have to do. It's pretty clear, and you've helped us to clarify that. So thank you very much for that. I realize now we actually have one more report from our city rep, who's been sitting here this whole meeting. We actually have two, and I'm wondering if board members could give us a few minutes, 15 minutes maybe, for this item, the tenant,
Yeah.
or hold
Yeah,
on.
can I propose we flip-flop the order of the agenda?
I was already doing that.
Leave the tenants right
Yes,
off.
I was already doing that. So it was actually for Jen, and
Yes.
I'm sorry about that. But I think
It
it's,
sounded very interesting.
yes, exactly. And it's very timely with some of the comments from our last deputant. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Linda, for inviting me to attend and to present. I'm going to give a quick update. Knowing that Chris Brillinger will be coming to the board before our next report to give some details about that. So I'm not able to provide a lot of information about our next report, but can give you an update on what we've been doing since our January report. So the key recommendations, the first Catherine's already spoken to, was an interim process to select tenant directors on the TCH board. And then the others had to do with the scattered portfolio. So there was a direction to work together with TCH staff to issue an RFP for the single family homes to the nonprofit sector. And then the next were about agency housing. So there was direction to speak to the current operators of agency houses and look to transfer those properties to the agencies that currently use them. Another direction was to issue an RFP, a request for proposals, for an agency to provide supports in TCH rooming houses. So I'll do a quick update on each of these items to let you know what we've been doing. So on the single family homes, we've mostly been working internally, city staff, to determine what the ownership model and the model of transfer would be for these houses before we issue an RFP. We've also brought together a joint group of city and TCH staff to look at those details, so we've been meeting regularly. We've also gone out and done some engagement with tenants of the single family homes. So we have two meetings, one was at City Hall and one in Scarborough. We had about 80 tenants attend and just gave them information about the upcoming process and input into the tenants sections of the RFP. So how tenants wanted to be engaged with a new housing provider, what kind of, if they wanted representation on the board, what did that look like, and the input we received will form part of the RFP that's issued. On agency houses, again, working internally to figure out the nuts and bolts and details of how that will actually happen. We've been working with TCH closely on figuring out what the terms of those are. We've also reached out to all of the agencies and have heard back about what the preferences are there. In terms of rooming houses, this is a pretty exciting project. We have issued and selected a proponent to provide coordinated support for units of TCH rooming houses. And so we've been working closely with TCH. Members of the TCH staff were on the review panel that made the decision. And now we're working on the details of what that kind of agreement will look like between the city, the agency, and TCH. So we're hoping this will roll out. Programs should start early in May, and we're really excited about this. What's next? So we are going back to council. I think when we first started, we thought we'd do one report, and it's turned into about 10. And that will further detail the plan to create a seniors housing and services entity at the city, and what the transition looks like to taking on a bigger role with the TCH seniors mandated building. So we need to take a closer look at that. And as well, working with TCH on a specific delivery model for seniors housing. I'll also provide a little bit of update on the work we're doing and what we will continue to do on changes to the TCH's mandate shareholder direction. That's the work that we have ahead of us, and we'll be coming back to council at the beginning of 2019 when the new council is. So that's us.
Thank you. I'll open up for a few questions to Jen while she's here. And knowing that Chris is going to be coming also to our next board meeting to answer some more detailed questions too.
Yes, and I do have a two-part question, and I think it might end up being bounced to the board and we can deliberate it there. Can you tell us sort of how was the reaction? It's always been controversial, the people who have the privilege and fortune to live in those single-family homes. How were those meetings in terms of participation and positive, negative?
Yeah, I think it was a mix. I think that, we have a long history of a lot of different ideas and plans for what would happen to the houses and the tenants who live in the houses. So I think it was a lot of our work is to kind of present this path forward and kind of leave the past behind. So, there was lots of relief that the houses weren't going to be sold into the private market. A lot of disappointment from some tenants who had thought that they would be able to purchase their homes. So I think just, presenting that consistent council direction is our job now. So they were challenging some parts of the meeting, but definitely great feedback, and I think that the from tenants.
Thank you, and that was exactly what I was trying to draw out, how the tenants themselves who live there, how they responded to it all. I know, and you've heard over the course of time that many tenants who have lived in some of these single-family homes, or whatever we're calling them these days, have put